Welcome to my video. So in this one video, I want to show the slam farm that I've been working on for the past few months and recently built. And I want to go over the mechanic and the redstone behind it, so someone may find it interesting. But before you want to build it, I want to point out the fact that this farm is using two sound suppressor up there and down here on channel 13 in order to dupe this circle box specifically. So you can see when I place it, it will not consume the circle box in this dispenser in order to dupe the oozing potion. This farm is consuming 72,000 oozing potion per hour, and that is simply way too much for any storage or for any brewer to keep up, so I decided to dupe them. Unfortunately, but I feel like the entire farm is still quite interesting, that's why I decided to just dupe it instead of giving up on it. Okay, so this farm is producing 9 million slam bowl per hour, and all of them are compacted into slam block. And so first of all, I want to go over the mechanic behind the creeper spawning and teleporting to the nether. You probably already recognize that this is an what's it called, a corner portal mechanic. This corner portal is first shown on YouTube, I believe, by Garlic Bread, or at least that's how I found about it. So when the creeper on the overworld side trying to spawn on the left side of the portal, because the right side is already blocked, the game will try to put it also on the left side of the portal in the nether relative to its position from the overworld. However, the entire spawning platform here is offset onto the right side, and so when the game tries to link the portal, it will link toward this portal block over here. So when it links like that, it will create a chunk loading ticket in this chunk specifically, and that will basically do a chunk loading around it, as you're probably aware. It's a 3x3 loading region and also like a 5x5 ring around it that is lazy loading. And so that ring is of course on this border over here. This is where the creeper spawning. And in lazy chunk, the creeper doesn't get influenced by the TNT, as in like they don't get moved by the TNT, but they can still get killed. They also do no AI or like pathfinding, so that's a lot more lag friendly. So you can see when a creeper first spawn in, it get applied by the oozing potion effect by the dispenser. It is already applying this one, like it spawned in the previous tick and it's applying this tick. And yeah, then one tick later it get killed by TNT, and that is the least amount of time it could be. When it get killed, you can see it try to move on the right side. That's why I have some fence kit over here. But yeah, I have some soul fire to kill off the gunpowder. So when a mob die, in this case the creeper, it will enter a 1 second death animation. During this 1 second, I just move it to the next TNT chamber, where it converts into a slam. And when it tries to like spawn in the slam, it will check the area around it, 5x5x5 area, so around 2 blocks away. So this thing is just barely outside the distance. But let's say if this thing were to be close by, or like there were to be 24 or more slam nearby, it would not spawn any new slam. And that is why I have to like separate them out into different layer. Because let's say if there's a pile of creeper of like 20 creeper coming in, the first 12 creeper will spawn in 24 slam, and then the 8 creeper afterward will not spawn any more slam. This 24 value is coming from the entity grabbing limit that you can change using the game rule. But yeah, you can see here they just spawn in the slam, get killed by the TNT and launched over by the momentum of it. Yep, spawn over here and just fall down here to get killed by the TNT. So you can see already there's some different layers. Like each layer is slightly different from the rest, and the bottom 4 layer is the same as the top 4 layer. I was able to achieve that by just like controlling the sequence at which each layer turn on and off. But yeah, there's some redstone here specifically because I need to sync up 4 layer into 1 TNT. Right, I only have 1 TNT coming in for 4 layers, so yeah, I have to sync them up, or else they're just gonna explode everywhere. And by pushing them into lazy chunk, I can stop the death timer from counting up. And yeah, some layer the slam is in there for 1 game tick, some layer the slime in there for 2 game tick and maybe 3. But there's one specifically that's just perfectly sync, which is this one. And yeah, basically the same for the top side as well. And that is basically everything about the slime spawning mechanic. But there's also something interesting. And this detail is only relevant for the version 21.4 and above. So first of all, I will show that the issue real quick. Shocking start. If I do the lifetime command now, the slam, I will see that they are die by the explosion. But the explosion is not looting, right? Um, the explosion, despite despite the fact that the TNT is ignited by this piglin holding a looting sword, it is not registered as a piglin arrow. It's just an ownerless arrow. In 21.4 and above, you have to use a piglin arrow for the overworld because the skeleton doesn't pick up the sword anymore. So they make the changes that like if a skeleton is holding a bow, they will not pick up any other weapon. So yeah, you and there's no way that I know of to disarm the skeleton. So how to use a piglin. So now I will move this piglin to the overworld, and you will see that they will stop dying by another effect. So let's just go do mob spawning. Pause. And so yeah, I have to turn them off to go to creative and do stuff. Now that the piglin is in the overworld and also in the lazy chunks, that doesn't turn into a zombified piglin, right? Now I can let's resume the farm. Do mob spawning, shoot. I can do a lifetime command. Now you will see the explosion, death by player. Like up here, there is none. Up here it's just like explosion and conversion. Down here the explosion from before, conversion, and explosion by player. Obviously this is not player, but this piglin arrow. And now this now have the looting effect. Yeah, and because I'm using a render distance 12 here, I can put the piglin a bit closer. But it's just simply like it will spawn in this portal, the minecart then move over here. And if I were to turn off the farm, there will be a piston that will push the minecart back on the rail and it will enter the portal again. So the farm also used light suppression as you have seen before. But in theory, you don't need to use light suppression. Garlic Bread also had a video on lazy looting creeper farm. You can search it up. But you can basically use the same layout to put the creeper inside the lazy chunk. However, the issue is that in that layout, he is using a boat to put the creeper, to like get the creeper into the portal. And because of that, it is a lot more laggy compared to a normal EOL. So that's why I just decided to use the normal EOL here. To perform light suppression in 21.0 and above, or like 20 something and above, you would have to build the light suppressor inside the spawn chunk. So if you are in 1.20 for some reason, you can just make this thing a bit bigger, right? You can expand them outside the spawn chunk and use less light, use less lamp. However, for 121 and above, the spawn chunk is reduced. So yeah, I had to put them a bunch more on this layer here. Don't exactly understand how it works. But yeah, my friend Raven from the Quantum server discovered this trick of like putting them inside spawn chunk. That enable the entire light suppression once again. I just put them in every single subchunk, one line, in separate them by subchunk to reduce the light and also yeah, to maximize the light uplift. Going from the bottom wall to like the wall limit, it's around 23,000 lamp. And the way you do light suppression in the new engine is also a bit different as well. You cannot really just activate it and slice the portal because after a while your server will crash or your game will crash or that like the light queue can cut up. It is very finicky. So what I have to do is I basically just lit up the entire portal, like every single portal, I just lit them all up and then I slice them afterward using a sound suppression. Yeah. Because like with sound suppression, you have a lot more flexibility and you can slice portal however you want. Okay, so I think that's all the mechanic involving in this farm. The rest is just redstone and how the farm, like how you can turn on and off the farm. But for the redstone, I want to go over the TNT duper real quick and some other stuff. So first of all, I have some sea lantern here to basically reduce the light upgrade coming from the portal, which reduce the lag as well, of course. Okay, so for the TNT duper, let's say if I turn off the farm now, right? First of all, the target block will move over here and redirect its dust so that it doesn't power the node block anymore. And that would basically turn off the duper, disable the duper. But the part here, the piston here, will be still firing and still doing its entire thing until the comparator clock finish the sequence. Afterward, the entire farm will then be shut off. The reason is like you of course will have to like still processing this TNT. If we just leave this TNT here, it could just explode and make a mess, of course. So I need this pot to continue firing afterward. And this also this line here. The reason is like there's no way for me to control the iron block. Like it stopped wherever. It can stop over here. It can stop over there. But when I start the farm, the iron block must be on the right side. And so I have the little circuit to basically correct it. If the iron block is on the left side, the dust hill will be powered by this observer, which will then power the piston and push it back to the right side. And I have basically the same thing on this one as well. There is also the dust and the observer. Okay, so and over here have some box unloader. This basically the entire box switching. Like yeah, the comparator here will deactivate when there's one oozing potion left, which will then basically just sync it up with the hopper, and the hopper will always have something to pick up. Up here is just a crafter for the flint and steel. Nothing too fancy. But the logic behind it is basically like if there's a flint inside here, the crafter will be locked. And if let's say like if it consumes the flint, then the crafter will be unlocked and it will be powered by this clock. And when the farm turn on, the TNT will coming in here. The first two TNT will fall down here and basically get disposed of. They will explode inside the NSS, which will then like not destroy anything. And the piston here will cover it up with a glass so that it doesn't affect the incoming TNT. Uh, the chip wire here also gonna trigger the entire farm and the entire mechanism over here to like push in the slam from the lazy chunk. Okay, so I believe that is the entire nether side. Now, oh wait, actually, so here I will just gonna show you real quick the sequence that the portal is lighting up. So I control the portal by using this piston and repeater. But yeah, you can see that the first portal will turn on, then the skip to, then that one, skip to, then the bottom one, then move back up, and that. And with this specific sequence, the top sequence and the top four sequence and the bottom four sequence is basically the same. Yeah, and that really like make the redstone over here a lot more simplified and optimized. You will see like I use with the skeleton skull around the farm, but that's just to reduce the lag. You could use like a node block, but I believe a node block is a bit more laggy than a skull. Alright, so yeah, that is the entire nether side. Now let's go to the overworld. So before I go to overworld, I'll show real quick, like, notice how this lamp is dying at different layer, right? So in the overworld, I just have a bunch of crafter at different layer to distribute the slam bowl a lot more efficient. I just have some funny tweak to basically just make them look accurate like this. But there's a slice spot up here where the slam bowl come from, and I use a piston to split them in perfect 50-50 onto two different channels. The reason why I cannot use the water is that because the slam from my first testing from the first test, I see that like it is biased toward one side. So if I just don't use the piston and use water, then one side will be overflowing while the other side will not be as effective. The piston is controlled by the yellow circuit back here. Okay, so and I want to reduce the lifetime as much as possible, so that's why I'm also having this 3x crafter over here to basically like squeeze in as many crafter as possible. And but after this 3 crafter, I have the 6x mirror on both sides. So there's 6x over here, there's 6x over here, going for 5 or 4 6x. Yeah, 1 2 3 4 5. So yeah, going for 5 6x. So that means like every single wing here is 10 6x. So like 60 hopper speed crafter. The the 3 time hopper speed over here is quite simple, nothing really special. Just using some special wiring, like I use with the waterlock leaf here to trigger the observer and stuff. As for the 6x though, it's a lot more interesting because you would have to replace the box in 6 gem tick. So basically like two gem tick from the comparator and 4 gem tick from the dispenser. And that's the most amount of delay you can have before the crafter could possibly like speed up another slam block. And so because it is a 6 gem tick replacement, there would be never a single like overflow like slam block getting split up by the crafter. And yeah, but because of the way I have this hopper down here, it will basically always gonna buffer one box. And yeah, and the farm has been running for like 9 hours as well. Like right now, it's running at half capacity for recording, but it has been running at full capacity for 9 hours, and it filled up like 1/3 of storage. So like this storage is around like 10 million, and it filled up quite a lot of it. So it's been tested out quite decently. And when you can see here, like when the first slice is full, we're gonna go to the second slice, and now it's on the third slice. And over here, all the hopper is unlocked because it trying to keep it simple. But yeah, when this slice is full, you're gonna move to the next one and unlock the slice, and so on and so forth. Okay, so also the redstone up here is basically just to like resupply the shulker and the shulker shell and the lock for the crafter. So let's say this thing ran out, right? It will trigger the clock, and the card will be dispensed, pick up the cell first, and then pick up the lock. And so it also gonna fill in the cell and then fill in the lock. And it gonna like when it go in here, it gonna exit and go the entire way around. And yeah, let's say the card just go in there, right? That gonna be the card gonna be empty. And so like if it go to next, it's just simply gonna go in and exit out and do nothing, right? And on the next cycle, the card can then fill up this crafter specifically, and so on. Okay, so over here I have some TNT conveyor. The player is using a 4 gem tick, so basically using continuous. And I just trying to keep the conveyor as short and simple as possible to reduce the lag. Technically over here, this thing is still a bit more laggy than it could be because it's still having some moving block. Could have just clocked the piston and use like observer clock to make it better. But this is more, I guess for me at least, it's more easier to deal with because the arrow is always there and I don't have to worry about the arrow being fall off and despawn. But yeah, there's also some slice portal here. Using a sound suppressor at this location can cover both of them, and you can slice them however you want. And over here is the thingy for the piglet. Whoops. The piglet here is put inside lazy chunk because it is like, I think I mentioned this before, but yeah, render distance 12, so this far is enough. But let's say if it's render distance 16, then you would have to move this thing like 4 chunk away. And yeah, when I turn off the farm, this line will be power, and basically the card will be pushed back. And I can solve the turning on the farm real quick. So like in survival, what you would do is like, let's say you are staying here, right? You would open your inventory and maybe throw an item. When you throw this item, you can have a hopper or something over here, like readjust the redstone, right? So like the hopper will pick up the item you just thrown out, and then that will turn on the mob switch. Meanwhile, your player will keep placing TNT. And after some time, the mob switch will be turned on, so you can. Right now, I think. Oh, and it's not turned on. So game rule do mob spawning post. Once the mob is turned off, you can then stop placing the TNT. One stop, and now you will wait for a little bit before you turn off the farm. And I will explain the reason why in a little bit. But at the same time, it will also start this like when I turn off the farm, right? It will also start this hopper clock to empty out the entire crafting array, so that like there's no more slime staying behind. This help with reliability and stuff, and I forgot what it is, but yeah, it is needed. But by now that should be enough for the nether side to finish. So now we just stop the farm, and once again you can see this line here is gonna push this thing back and enter where it should be. So right here. The reason why you need to stop the nether side first is because let's say like if this portal is still here, like if the portal is blinking over here, then the piglin could for some high reason teleport over here, and that's not where you want the piglin to be. You want the piglin to be inside this his little hole. But yeah, this is only relevant for like 21.4 and above. But like to be fair, in that version you don't have sound suppression anyway, so like you have to reintroduce them. So yeah, do your thing. So now to turn on the farm, what you wouldn't do is to first off send the piglin to the overworld. You click this button first, then you will go to the overworld using that portal, and you can put in here. Do not go to the chunk from this side, right? Because when you go in here, you're gonna start loading the piglin. And so from here, you can turn on the farm, and also having like connect this dust line to also like a mob switch, and like have it on a timer. Have it like maybe like 1 minute, half a minute, up to you. But then yeah, you can go to this position and start placing TNT. Right now, you're gonna use a mod placing continuous. Play one use continuous. Now you should wait for a little bit, like even in creative, you should wait for a little bit for the nether side to stabilize. Because like if you lag the game now, then the nether side could basically just explode, and you don't want that. But now it's stabilized, you can go observe it going on. Of course, make sure that the game rule spectator loading chunk is false, so that now when the mob switch eventually turn off, the mob spawning, the farm will just start working. And I already showed you how you turn it off, so yeah, just do that. Yeah, basically that's the entire farm. So thank you for watching, and maybe I'll see you guys in a few months again when I make out a different farm. I'm already working on something, so yeah, stay tuned and see ya.